him. He's from Williston, North Dakota, and he's going to be our special guest today. We are also going to be doing a special interview with Eric Jones, and Eric is from another Courtroom Observations Network out of National Liberty Alliance. He'll be calling in shortly, but I just wanted to welcome you and say thank you for joining us on our program. Our friend here, Frederick, is going to just start the show today by saying a prayer for us, and take it away, Fred. It's all you.
Thank you. I'd just like to thank the Lord to bless us and help us to choose our words carefully. And I just like to say, Lord, thank you for your blessings. Thank you for keeping us safe out of harm, and just bless us, Lord, in our conversation, and help us to carry out your work. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. All right. Well, Fred, we're going to be having a friend of mine call in. His name's Eric Jones, and Eric is actually an activist out of Rochester, New York. He basically is working with Courtroom Observation Network out of National Liberty Alliance. He's doing a lot of work also with another group called Pro Se America and a lady named Jane. I met Jane off of Facebook, and she's actually living in Washington, D.C., organizing courtroom observations. And she's been communicating with Eric here the last couple of weeks. They're going to be doing an event coming up. I just want to say a little bit about that event here. I got some information about it. And the event is going to be coming February 22nd, 2015 at 4:30 p.m. You can actually call and speak to her if you go to her website, and that website is proseamerica.net. She'd like you to invite all your friends and family to the event. The goal is to bring attention to occupying the judiciary, government, and elected officials, and the lack of accountability to place our government officials. Basically, our elected officials, they cannot police themselves, so it's up to we the people to police them. The idea of courtroom observation is that you don't want to be walking into a courtroom alone. And the reason that is when there's nobody to keep the judges and the juries accountable, they will basically do what they want to do. They think they can get away with anything, so basically they're going to throw everything they can at you that is basically not a part of the law. So the idea is we want to get as many people into the courtrooms observing cases so that the courts are held accountable. And if something does go wrong and they do throw you under the bus, there'll be people there to report it to alternative media, mainstream media, and they're going to basically do their best to get the word out. We're doing this all around the country, and we're trying to go through courtroomobservations.com. We're going to be posting the latest information on different court cases. We're going to be doing some events like this one coming up on February 22nd, or excuse me, not February 22nd. It's going to be on Friday, May 1st, 2015. I'm sorry, I read the wrong information. I don't know why. Today's the 22nd of February. So, but anyways, Fred, do you have anything in mind that you wanted to talk about here today?
Well, just pretty general stuff as far as, just kind of commenting on what you're saying about as far as judicial implications of how the judges in the court act on in the law. They just really, I appreciate this type of system, or someone has to police them, so, people, if you go into court today by yourself, you're just pretty much at their will. And I've been through that situation before a few times where I was at the mercy of the court and the judge, and it just pretty much threw the book at me. So I just like to get to know a little bit more the understanding of this situation and this program or etc. And just get back and just let you guys teach me some stuff.
Well, there's a lot to study in the court cases. We've got a couple different organizations that we work with. There's a group called rochesterlaw.org. Rochesterlaw.org, they do a class, an online class, but it's actually a conference call, and they do it on Saturdays. If you go to rochesterlaw.org, you can get the information. There's phone numbers, there's a PIN number that you have to punch in, and they discuss a lot of different programs with the law. They help you fight in court without actually having an attorney. Most people don't realize it, but most people that need attorneys, originally attorneys were appointed to people that didn't understand English in American law. So nowadays, they tell everybody you need to get a lawyer. Well, it's not necessarily true. If you know the laws, then you can defend yourself. And that's really the most important thing, is understanding what the laws are. If you get a Black's Law Dictionary, you can look up the laws, and you can actually go into court and defend yourself. You could bring forth information. You could call witnesses. You can basically do everything that a lawyer could do in a courtroom. You're hearing a lot about a sovereign citizenship and stuff like that nowadays. And the thing is, there's a lot of propaganda out there, and they're trying to say, oh, these sovereign citizens, they're terrorists. No, the truth is, sovereign citizens are just American citizens that know the laws and defend themselves in the courts, whether it be for tax exempt, status, or, driver's licensing. There's a lot of little details that, you're not supposed to know, or they don't tell you. They don't want you to know information. They want to keep you willfully ignorant and afraid. So they throw up cases like Wesley Snipes, and they'll tell you, oh, this guy's a bad person because he didn't pay his income tax. And if you really get into studying the cases, it was never even about income tax. It was about Wesley Snipes not paying sales tax on his movies and stuff. So they'll basically use propaganda to try to scare you. And the idea behind courtroom observation is that when you go into court and you're going to stand before the judge and the jury, that you're going to have people with you that are watching your back. And it's really a good idea to have those people there. Not only are they there and they're just observing, but you could also use some of these observers as witnesses to your court case. So the idea is, if you're interested in becoming a member of Courtroom Observations, go sign up at our website, courtroomobservations.com. We also have links on our other websites, anti-illuminatiparty.com. We have links there as well. We're going to try to put out as many videos as we can about laws and the details of the different laws that are applied to you as an American sovereign citizen. There's also things that are going on where they're trying to organize jury nullification for a lot of the laws that are happening right now in America that are unconstitutional. If you notice, recently the President of the United States has been basically trying to do a lot of things by executive orders. And recently he just had, hold on a second. Hello.
I'm here, Daniel.
Oh, great.
I'm here, Daniel.
Excellent. You can hear us?
I can hear you. Am I coming through okay, Daniel?
Yeah, you're coming through just fine, Eric. Anyways, I'm going to introduce, this is Eric. He is a representative of National Liberty Alliance. And Eric has a few things for us today to discuss. Eric, we have just about 20 minutes left to the show here. So go ahead and talk about those things that you wanted to talk about here today on the show.
Thanks for having me, Daniel. I'll get right to it. I can't tell you how many people, go to hire a lawyer and they get completely screwed. They give a lawyer a couple $1,000. The lawyer doesn't do anything. And story after story of people, man, I gave a lawyer $1,000 for 6 months before. I gave a lawyer $800 and he didn't do anything for me. I still had this. It's a nightmare. So I highly recommend that people look into self-representing, and your best asset when you get to court is having a group of courtroom observers with you. And I'll get right to where people can go to look into this. It would be the National Liberty Alliance.org, and you would open up the Courtroom Observers Group. It's under the heading Groups, and you'll see the Courtroom Observers. And there you will find information on how to network with other people. And if you decide to join the National Liberty Alliance and become a courtroom observer, all you have to do is log in, and you'll see request forms in case you want to request observers for a case that you are going through, or offer your services to observe for people who are in need, who are going up in front of court. So I don't know where to begin, Daniel. Why don't we just start with, there's so many things to talk about. I think the first thing we should talk about is this. That your best asset in court is a camera. And the courts are desperately trying to keep cameras out of the courtroom because every judge in the nation is in violation of their oath under Article 6, Clause 3. And Article 6, Clause 3 of the Constitution reads, judicial officers of the United States and the several states, that means federal, state, and local, shall be bound by oath or affirmation to support this Constitution. And every judge took that oath, swore on a Bible nonetheless, to uphold the Constitution. And every day, I see every judge in every jurisdiction breaking his oath, doing things that are rapidly unconstitutional. We could go down the whole list. I mean, we have a situation here at a little town, Penfield, New York. It used to be a farming town. Now it's basically suburban tract development. And it's not a big booming city. It's just a small four corners of town. And 170 people in one night dragged into court on all these absurd minor code violations. And guess what? I hear they're running court 4 nights a week now. So that was just one night out of 4. And they're running court on the weekends on Saturday, knowing that people won't be able to show up. And they're having, my friend Chris got a ticket on 5 Mile Line Road, and he got dragged in at 10:30 in the morning. Now, they're doing this intentionally because they know people aren't going to show up because they have to work, and people are either going to forget to show up or can't, and there'll be a bench warrant issued. So the next time they get picked up, they're incarcerated. Now, I want some people to know another thing about every single court case that goes through both civil and criminal. Every case is bonded by the court. And on every case, this bond, no matter what it is, makes interest. And so the longer these judges and lawyers can do what's called protracting, which is prolonging and dragging a case out as long as they can, so they make all this interest on the bond for the case. The longer they wait, the more the interest piles up, and the lawyers made $200 an hour along the way on their end as well. So it's a giant scam, and these judges are sitting on fiscal permits for years, not issuing them. They're sitting on Social Security settlements and not issuing them for years. I know a gentleman here, I saw the paperwork from Strong Memorial Hospital. He has 17 verified physical disabilities from an accident he had, and the court, after 3.5 years, is still jerking him around on his Social Security settlement. So why? Because the case is bonded, and the more they can drag it on, the more interest they can make on the case. It gets into the millions. I witnessed, let me give an example of a specific case of how corrupt it is. First of all, the court system in New York, you no longer have town court. Look at the sign on the wall behind the judge, and it says, Unified Court System of New York State, right down to the town court level. That means you don't have any more town sovereignty, you don't have any more county sovereignty. Everything's been gobbled up by the state. And so, and with the towns and the courts now being incorporated, You have a private corporation that's operating out of its constitutional jurisdiction, dragging hundreds of people a night in for minor code violations and victimless crimes. And I want to emphasize that word, victimless crimes. The state cannot be a victim. The county, the town cannot be a victim. Well, if you're speeding down the road and there's no victim, there's no crime. And if your sticker on the color of your car is the wrong color on your gun, that's not a crime. There's no victim to that crime. There needs to be absolutely no penalty. And when the National Liberty Alliance, with its common law grand jury mechanism, the enforcement mechanism, all constituted now in every one of the 3,133 counties in the nation that are populated. There's 3145, but a few in Alaska don't have any people in them. But in every single one of the 3,133 counties, we have constituted a common law grand jury of at least 4 people and work up to 25 to bring common law indictments against corrupt judges. And that's our enforcement. And once we have a common law sheriff in place that will exercise his authority, we can put some white stripes on those black robes and send some of these corrupt judges to prison. Let me give you an example of what went down here in New York the other day, Daniel. I watched a man, he's having his home seized. Who acquired a fraudulent mortgage from Countrywide, which went bankrupt. Now, Bank of America cannot show a promissory note or any proof that they own any paperwork on this house. Yet they're filing papers in the court of property. Judge Doyle issued a ruling, and here is this ruling right here. I am looking at it, and I'm going to read it to you. It's basically only one sentence. And it says this: in regard to the matter at hand, the motion will be heard on October 7th of 2014 at 1:30. The release will not be granted. That means Bank of America will not be able to seize this property if there is no appearance by the plaintiff's attorney. 3 times Bank of America failed to show up in court. No lawyers, no representative, no one. And Judge Doyle, even though he ruled that he would not find in favor of Bank of America if they didn't show up in court, they didn't show up, and he still violated his own ruling and ruled in favor of Bank of America. I want to witness the sale of the property, which is taking place in a courtroom. They're selling people's houses unlawfully that they can't prove ownership to, and the man sitting in the buyer's chair looks like a farmer with a beard and overalls and a flannel shirt. And when I asked if he was the lawyer for Bank of America, he said, "I represent Bank of America." And doesn't it turn out, it appears from all my reports, the people looking at his picture on the internet, and I haven't seen it with my own eyes, but it looks like that he's another judge, Judge Morris, another sitting judge representing Bank of America. So we have 2 judges selling each other property for pennies on the dollar and making some interest on the bond for the case along the way. And the lawyers are getting $200 an hour, and they're seizing as many as 10,000 houses, properties are listed for foreclosure right now in the Rochester, Monroe County area. That's a team, and they're doing it totally fraudulently with no stenographer in the courtroom. So there's no record of the proceedings whatsoever. And if you try to break out a camera, they threaten to arrest you, and they have you removed from the courtroom. So very, very corrupt here in New York. Just so people know how bad it is, and it's going on in every community in the nation. I talk to people in Kansas, Pennsylvania, Washington State, Colorado, New Jersey. I mean, you name your state, and it's going on in every community. Maryland, Virginia. So anyway, if people want to get involved, and I'll stop complaining here, but I wanted to expose the corruption and let people know how bad it is and how much courtroom observers are needed, because when you go into a court and there's no stenographer, who's going to do all the record of that case? I mean, you have to be there to observe it, to see what testifies to what happened to corruption, because in the future, we're gonna make sure that a great number of these judges and lawyers go to prison for the corruption and the theft that they're committing. I mean, they're stealing people's private property and putting them out homeless in the middle of the winter when it's below 0 outside, and they're doing it with no stenographer, with no promissory note. Their Bank of America's not even showing up in court, just filing papers, and the judges like Doyle are running it through, and they take another judge dresses up in his farmer's clothes and sits there and buys a $150,000 house for $3,500. And that's the scam they're running on people, and it's absolutely disgusting because these people have children and they're going homeless now. So I encourage people to get involved with the National Liberty Alliance.org. And like I said, if you put your cursor on groups and go to the Courtroom Observers section, you'll see a couple of documents at the top of the bulletin board that are very pertinent to how courtroom observing can be done with the cases you can cite from federal court that ensure you have the right to film. There are two, one Florida versus the city of Seattle, and the other one Smith versus the city of Cumming, and they're both from two different federal circuit courts, 9th and the 11th respectively. And if you write a brief one-sentence letter, I respectfully command that whoever Judge Smith honor and enforce my right to film matters of public interest on public property pursuant to those two cases. They have to let you bring the cameras in the courtroom. Don't go into the media, go into the private individual, get your cameras in there ahead of time. You're in the court to film. It's your right. You're not asking, you're telling. But you do it nicely and you let them know that federal case precedent is on your side. Once the cameras get in the courtroom and they start rolling, these judges absolutely panic because now all of a sudden there's a stenographer there and it's us. They're not recording their own criminal action. We need to do it for them. And eventually when the people demand the change and they demand the common law grand jury mechanism being stated, then the change will happen. And if we can get into one court, and it will happen soon, then we can indict other judges from that court. And when a judge is indicted, he has to remove himself from office. So once we start indicting judges, they can just basically, they're going to either do the right thing and obey their own, uphold the Constitution, or leave office and let a constitutional judge come in. And you'll find the amount of cases that are running through the court, 98% of them will go away. Because most of them are victimless crime, paperwork violations of probation or parole, dot your I's and cross your T's, and now they're going to round you up and stick you back in jail. I've seen it happen to an 82-year-old man taking care of a disabled son. I mean, they were going to put him back in prison for 3 years because he didn't fill his paperwork out properly. It was disgusting. So please, people, if you want to get involved with the National Liberty Alliance, you can either get involved with the common law grand jury, which is already constituted in every county. So get a hold of your county or state coordinator. It's all up there on the National Liberty Alliance website. And from there, you can become involved. And if you become a courtroom observer, we'd appreciate your help. Everybody who becomes a member of the National Liberty Alliance should be a courtroom observer, because that's really the rubber meets the road of where we are. And you can go into court with the best case in the world. You can have the Perry Mason common law case, fight, and have the justice and truth on your side, and you will lose your case because they're that corrupt unless you have courtroom observers on your side. You can go in with a crappy case and win if you have a lot of people with you with cameras, because that's really the bottom line. Is the public pressure is something that the system does not like. Once you start recording their corruption and their criminality, they tend to really back off, and a lot of these cases have been resolved in our favor, very much in our favor, 70 to 80% in favor of the people that we assist with the Courtroom Observers Network of the National Liberty Alliance.
Wow, Eric, I want to talk to you about what's going on with the ProSayAmerica.net. I guess they have an event coming up on May 1st, Occupy the Jury, Truth and Freedom Activist Program. Our protest.
I spoke with the founder of Pro Say America, Ms. Janice. She's very nice and she's doing a great job. And we're going to actually try to give her some traction and some publicity for what she's doing, because we believe, she's on the right track. And she is pretty much on board with the National Liberty Alliance and what we're doing. So, another alliance has been made, and she is going to have a march down Pennsylvania Avenue on May 1st, which is called Law Day. Now, the law, as far as the system is concerned, is a bunch of legal BS. And the true law, the common law, the Magna Carta and the Constitution and the Declaration of Independence and the Bill of Rights, that law is what law day should be. And she's going down to make that point that, hey, let's remember common law, let's remember real law, and what you guys have coming out of this course right now is not law. It's legalized theft, and that's all there is to it. It's like Germany. They pass all kinds of papers and edicts and statutes and policies that said, you know, you got to do this and you can't do that. First, you had to put the star on your window, and then you had to get on the train and go to the courts. And you can, you know, the legislators and parliament can pass all kinds of stuff. And to me, it's nothing more than toilet paper they can use for you know what. The real law is in the Constitution, and I'll say it again. Every judge is breaking his oath to uphold the Constitution every time they put on that witch's robe. And let me remind people, there's only two groups of people who wear black robes: judges and Satanists, and that's not by accident. So people need to realize the difference between legal and lawful. And on May 1st, the law day, Janice is going to have a march down Pennsylvania Avenue. I believe she's going to hit the. You're going to want to talk to her about this. She's going to go stop at the White House. She's going to stop at the Justice Department, the FBI, the Supreme Court, and the Capitol. And she is going to be willing to pass out a document that the National Liberty Alliance has drafted called the Quo Warranto, and that is spelled QUOWARRANTO, Quo Warranto. And that document, I believe it's a 16-page document, is an excellent read for people who want to familiarize themselves with what we're actually doing at the National Liberty Alliance. We have already sent that Quo Warranto to, I think all the joint chiefs of staff, every member of Congress, and every federal judge in the nation. And we're working our way down to the state and local judges right now to put them on notice that they took an oath to uphold the Constitution. They are breaking it. Now, do they want to be up on criminal charges, or they want to do the right thing, or leave office? That's really those are the only options, and they have to start doing the right thing. I don't think they're capable myself. I'm not that optimistic, because all they are is corrupt lawyers. And if you took away their money stream and forced them to be constitutional judge, they're going to have to give up their, Mercedes and all the stuff that they bought with stolen money. Now, I don't begrudge anybody wealth or nice things, but earn your money honestly. Don't earn it by ripping off the people, by protracting cases that are bonded and making a bunch of money on the interest, and your attorney buddies get $200 an hour to clean people out and steal their private property. So there's all kinds of case precedent in the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution that people can use to reaffirm their rights. And when they go up in front of court, I encourage people to write a brief jurisdictional challenge and say the court has no jurisdiction over me based on the following principles and precedents, and go through your Declaration of Independence and go through your Constitution. I did, and look what I found in the Declaration to back up our, how about this? This is right out of the Declaration of Independence. Combined with others to subject us to a jurisdiction foreign to our Constitution. Now, they didn't even have a Constitution written up. This was in the Declaration before the war was even fought, and they were already talking about jurisdictions that are foreign to their Constitution, just like we have today. A jurisdiction that's foreign to our Constitution. They're bringing you in on 50 seconds law and BS toilet paper that comes out of Washington and Albany. And so just go through there, pull it out, destroy the lives of our people. Repeated petitions have been answered only by repeated injury. Attempts by their legislature to extend an unwarrantable jurisdiction over us. There it is. So it's all right in there. And so one of my favorites is to affirm your private property rights is Article 4, the right of the people to be secure in their persons, houses, papers, and effects. And Article 14, nor shall any state deprive any person of life, liberty, or property. And here we are having houses seized everywhere. Judges took an oath to uphold the Constitution. I say they're breaking it when they steal someone's house. And Bank of America can't show a promissory note. So back to Janice and the Pro Se America. She's going to be passing out the Quo Warranto that the National Liberty Alliance drafted to the Supreme Court Justice clerks, to the White House legislative aides and staffers at the Capitol, any congressmen or senators we can run into along the way would be wonderful. She's very well spoken, and she's a great diplomat for freedom. So we're going to back her up and give her some traction and some publicity at the National Liberty Alliance. She's going to pass out some of our documents and try to get that on video.
Eric,
delivering those documents by hand to the people. 10 seconds.
Anyways, hey, I hate to interrupt you, but our show for Blog Talk Radio is going to come to an end, but we're going to continue broadcasting off of our site for the YouTube, so you can continue with what you were saying. So go ahead and continue with what you're saying there.
Okay, very good, Daniel. I'll just continue right on. We'll get your listeners on Blog Talk the next time around next weekend, hopefully. And then meanwhile, so anyway, Pro Se America is going to be marching down Pennsylvania Avenue. They have the full support of the National Liberty Alliance. I encourage everybody who can join in this march. This is a real solutions situation here. This is not, complaining that the law stinks and what are we going to do, and walking and not really presenting a plan. I want to see the plan. Every other march that's come down Pennsylvania Avenue, and there's been a bunch of them. Where's the plan? Where's the document? What do you have? What are you delivering to people? What are you showing? Yeah, I know the legislatures and the judges are going to, you can say, hey, they're never going to change. They're going to do what they're going to do. But you still have to make your statement and present your plan, because guess what? The people of the nation are looking to you for some kind of solution, some kind of, what do you got? So you can't just march and say, hey, this stinks and you guys are sad and you want a rice back and, wow, okay, great, let's spend the night at the hotel and waste $180 to go home. Where's the plan? So I don't see it. So anyway, National Liberty Alliance has a plan. Courtroom observing is a plan. That's an actual thing you can do. So people, you have to get down there, and freedom is boots on the ground. And I hate that term because I'm not in the war state that we're in. But we need rubber meets the road. Trust the most people who are going to get out and actually get with the solution, which is backing up the common law grand jury mechanism that's already included in every county, electing a common law or constitutional sheriff who's going to exercise his authority to arrest these judges when they do the unconstitutional act and they break their oath and they trample on people's freedom and they're in violation of Article 7, Article 14, Article 6, Clause 3, Article 1, Section 9, Clause 8. I could go on and on and on. So, and arrest these judges. They need to be. It's the only place we're going to get our freedom back, because you can do all the legislating you want, but when it gets to the courts, ultimately, where the lawsuits take place, because people are going to challenge, and that's where everybody gets stopped, and that's where the giant scam is taking place. And if you have time, I can go right back to the genesis of the scam and how it was set up before the American Revolution, and I'll make the case that nothing has changed since the days of the colonies. Look around you. 19 out of the 20 points of the Communist Manifesto are already in action right here in the country. And look into it yourself, people, if you think that's hyperbole or if you think that's an exaggeration. It's already, nothing has changed. So if you want me to make that case, Daniel, it would take me about 5 or 10 minutes. I can do that.
Yeah, absolutely. I know you're very knowledgeable on the subject, and I'd love to educate some of the people that are listening to this program, maybe for the first time. Obviously.
I'm going to take a break here. I'm just going to get a sip of something to drink. Why don't you take the mic for about a minute, and I'll come right back in, and I'm going to give people a little history lesson. The untold story, what you're not going to hear from anybody else, and it's right out of the dictionary, so it's not really arguable. Give me a 1 minute break. I'll be right back, okay?
Oh, absolutely, Eric. Take your time. We'll definitely be here. I guess I got a couple things that we could talk about here with the Courtroom Observers. Just recently, within the last couple days, I started to add a couple links to the website. If you go to courtroomobservers.com, I did add a nationallibertyalliance.com Courtroom Observers page. We also added a Pro Se America link with the page. They have Facebook groups. You can go and check those out if you're interested in that. We also have forums on the website, Courtroom Observer. We have different laws, links to different laws. And here's another thing. If you're listening to the program or you're watching this YouTube video, if you are an activist or you have a website out there that you're interested in getting out information and you want to do an interview with us, definitely contact me. You can contact me through my phone, my mobile number. It's 585-236-9858. Or you can contact us through Courtroom Observers. We have a link there, a contact page. And we'll definitely be willing to entertain different ideas as far as courtroom stuff and laws go. It's one of my favorite subjects to talk about, is the different laws that are out there. There's a lot of things that, mainstream America, your good red-blooded American, aren't aware of, because they don't study such topics as laws. A lot of people are more interested in watching football and, Dancing with the Stars. But when it comes down to them getting in trouble, or, whether it's with taxes, or they're losing their home, or, they've been falsely accused or arrested, they want to know some stuff. Well, this is a good site, courtroomobservers.com. We have a lot of different information for people that have been caught up in basically the fraudulent system out there. And we should be able to share that information. So if you're listening and you're interested and you like what we're doing, the work that we're doing here, we encourage you to share this information with your friends and your family. Because, there's an old saying, knowledge is power, but there's also another saying from the Bible, and it says, my people perish for a lack of knowledge. So the idea is, when you have the knowledge, you can fight back in a righteous way. Knowing the law is basically being empowered. So this is basically my passion and Eric's passion, and a lot of activists out there. Really what got me involved with. Are you back, Eric?
I am, Daniel.
Awesome. Yeah, go ahead, man. What were you going to talk? You were going to talk about history here, American history and the law.
Well, wait till you hear this. Hold on a second.
Absolutely.
I gotta open up my new favorite book, the dictionary, other than the Bible. My new favorite book, other than the Bible. Well, it was Hosea 4:6. I think that people would be destroyed for lack of knowledge.
Yes.
So anyway, as I was going through the book, just looking up different definitions of certain words, I came across. Oh, by the way, I wanted to start off because here's kind of the scoop, Daniel. I'm surprised no other talk show hosts are talking about this. This is the 800th year anniversary of the signing of the Magna Carta, which is the Great Charter of Liberties that was signed in the year 1215 at Runnymede, England. And so this is a big year. 800 years it's been. On June 15th, it'll be 800 years to the day. So I thought that was interesting. We should be celebrating that. And we should look back to those principles and precedents for our guidance, because our freedoms were already codified or encoded, written down, put into law, put into writing, hundreds of years ago. And as I was looking through the dictionary, I noticed the word Clinton with the capital C was written at the top of the page, and I said, wow, Bill and Hillary Clinton must be so famous now that they're in the dictionary. And so I looked down, and there was no Bill or Hillary, but there were 4 or 5 other Clintons that were all alive during the same period of time. And as I'm looking through the dictionary, I noticed that they were all on opposite sides of the war, even though they were alive at the same time and had all the same names. And it's a giant cluster that I couldn't figure out. And I'm looking at, I see that George Clinton, and I'm not talking about the King of Punk from the Parliament of Duncanellis, but here's Clinton. Where is it here? Back one page. And so I'm looking down and I see George Clinton, British, 1686 to 1761. Okay, so I'm not tracking me here, folks. See if you can follow me. This is going to be, I'm going to tie this up at the end. It'll be pretty interesting for you. George Clinton, British Admiral, late 1600s to 1761. British Admiral and Colonial Administrator. Governor of New York from 1743 to 1753. Now, he is the main man. He's the guy, he's the main pirate. He's the guy that's burning people's houses to the ground, stealing their cattle, stealing their horses, taking their guns. All the tyranny was under this. I mean, this is the guy with the food on the throat, big time. George Clinton, British Admiral. Okay, so I turn the page and then I see George Clinton II, 1739 to 1812. Now get this, okay, so we've got the same name as the British Admiral. He's born just a little bit later, so it would be maybe the age of a nephew or a son or something like that. Now guess listen to this guy. George Clinton #2, the younger, Vice President of the United States under Thomas Jefferson and James Madison. Also, first governor of New York State after the Revolution. Now, let me stop there. Did you get that, folks? We have the guy who was the colonial governor under British occupation and tyranny, named George Clinton. And then after the supposed revolution that we supposedly fought for our supposed freedom, another guy named George Clinton, who's now the first governor of New York, the state. Okay, now the chances of that happening by accident, that this guy on one side of a war has the identical name as the guy who takes over squarely on the opposite side after the war, they got the same name, is about zero. It's about like walking out of your house 10 days in a row getting struck by lightning. Okay? So I said there's no way these guys cannot be related. They got to be related. Mm-hmm. So I went on my mission there to find out. And I still put some people together. I haven't quite got to Ancestry.com yet, but I'll get you listeners as far as I got, which is the long and short is, after I called Rundell Library in Rochester, spoke to the history research librarian, he called the local historian, they all called the Sons of the American Revolution, and all of them, and she called me back and said, gee, Derek, I got some bad news for you. They're not related. And I said, okay. And I'm like, wow. And I'm like, geez, like the Santa kid that just found out there's no Santa Claus. And so I said, wait a minute. I've heard enough BS in my day and enough garbage and lies that I'm not believing nothing. They didn't show me any family tree. They didn't show me anything. All I got was he said and they said and she said that they said, and then so we're going to believe that. So wait a minute here. So I called a couple more libraries, figured that save myself a little running around. And doesn't the Judicial Library have a book called Master Builder of the Empire State? Now, did you get that? Master Builder?
Yeah.
The Empire State. Note the Masonic reference. Note the reference to the Masons, who always call themselves from day one, the time of Alexander the Great, or earlier, biblical Master Builders.
Right.
So that was very interesting. And then Master Builders of New York State. It's just a basic, it's a simple book. It's not a huge research study, but it says the younger George Clinton was given his start by his relative, the elder George Clinton, the British admiral. Did you get that? So the younger George Clinton, who was vice president under Jefferson, vice president of the United States, supposedly, was the relative of the older George Clinton, and the older George Clinton gave his relative, the younger George Clinton, a start as a clerk in the law office of the Ulster County, New York County government. Okay, so they are related, absolutely. This was not, and it's not by accident. And I don't care what anybody says. This is not a family divided. This is a family united. That George Clinton the younger did not defect and become pennies with George Washington, which he did, and become vice president under two presidents, which he did, and the governor of New York. And by the way, his son DeWitt Clinton went on to be governor of New York State twice. So for 100 years, we had the same family, the Clinton family, related. All these people are related now. Both George Clinton are related. Being the governor of New York and in the vice presidency of the United States from the early 1700s right through to the mid 1800s, from before the supposed American Revolution to after the supposed American Revolution. So that is, the British were pre-positioning their people in points of barristership. The barrister is a lawyer. So no matter what happened, no matter who won the Revolutionary War, we can fight all the battles we want. Run up with the flag of George Washington and cross that river and wave that flag and fight the Hessians and Bunker Hill and all this crap. And guess what? We're under the same, long and short, where are we today, Daniel? We're under the same damn tyranny we were under back then. Nothing's changed. We're it's here. We're under a legally pre-statute court from out of its common law constitutional jurisdiction. The lawyers who are judges now, every judge that you see with that black robe, that's a lawyer. You don't get to be a judge unless you're a lawyer. So all these judges are lawyers. The lawyers have been in place since before the American Revolution. They've got the main people. George Clinton the younger was given his start by his British admiral uncle, and he was put inside the clerkship in Ulster County. He worked his way up through the ranks and became bosom buddies with George Washington, and that's documented. And the vice president twice, and the first governor of New York State. So there you have it. One family. I mean,
thank you using Blog Talk Radio. Goodbye.
All right, that's we're gonna have to call our friend Eric right back. He was cut off by our other program here, but we'll let him finish the story. But that's a pretty interesting so far. Really interesting statement that he's talking about.
Can I interject?
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, you know, it's like you when he said the same tyranny. You know, it's
Right.
like that Illuminati bloodline. It's just
Did we run out of Daniel?
We did, but that's okay because we're still broadcasting live from the YouTube page.
Very good. Well, let's just keep on rolling then. So I've already made a case.
Yeah, Eric, can you take a break for one minute? Because Frederick, my guest here, had something to interject here. So let's listen.
Absolutely. I'll turn it back over to you, sir.
All right, go ahead, Eric.
well, when he said, well, the same tyranny from one uncle to a nephew, it's like that Illuminati bloodline. You know, it's just all the way from the Babylonian Nimrod era. It just passes on to one generation to the next generation, and they're all power hungry. You know, it's all about a certain type of people. They just like from the kings of Europe. You know, they're all related, and they're all Illuminati. You know, and they pass their and all come from the like you said the master builders, all the way from the Temple of Solomon, the master builders, where they originated from, so-called the Masons, and it just keeps going. And their whole idea is to control the world.
Right.
And we're just puppets in their world. That we're just cattle to them.
Right.
So, and that's what I just caught that on there. And it's all a game, though. It's a charade.
Yeah, you hit on something very interesting there. If you read the U.S. Code, I believe this was Alfred Adask, AKSK, case down in Texas, where he pulled up the U.S. Code, and it says, listen to it, it says, humans and other animals.
Mhm.
Did you get that?
Yeah.
Humans and other animals. So they're classifying us in the category as animals, and he took it to court and said, I'm not an animal. And anyway, won the case long and short. He made a good argument over it. He didn't just say that. He made a good case. But very interesting that he found it, and it says humans and other animals. So they only look at us, like you said, as cattle, and we're to be basically used and abused at their will. That's disgusting, and I see people losing their private property. I see judges breaking their oath and every other article of the Constitution, and I really urge people to get involved with the National Liberty Alliance because we have a plan with the solution. I don't see any of you other organizations that do. So if you can show it to me, I'll look into it, absolutely, with open eyes and open arms. But I haven't seen, and I'm not one for groups and organizations and clubs and all this stuff, but the National Liberty Alliance has a good plan, and we've already got it in action. We've already constituted our common law grand juries. The mechanism is in place. If we get a constitutional sheriff that's willing to back up the grand jury, because let's face it, folks, your district attorney in the county that you live in is never going to indict a judge. I mean, they're in this together. Period. And this is why you can change Congress, you can change the Senate, you can change Republicans to Democrats, Democrats to Republicans. You can dance all around that all you want, but you don't get your rights in the court back, you're screwed. The courts are where it's at. It all stops at the court. Everything else is pretty much irrelevant. And so this is why I really support what Janice is doing at Pro Se America. And she's going to march down Pennsylvania Avenue. She's going to deliver some common law documents along the way. She's going to videotape it, put it up on YouTube, and people can see the common law documents being delivered and the grand jury, and then look into what's going on with the common law grand juries. Forming in every county in the country now has one. So it's not like we're just getting going here, although our numbers could really use to be expanded, because if we're going to make this happen, put our courts back on a common law track, get rid of all these tickets and these roadblocks and these property taxes. Folks, you want your property taxes to go away? Get in with the National Liberty Alliance, because guess what? We get back into the courts, and the judges have to enforce all these articles that say, well, how about this one? Article 1, Section 9, Clause 4. No petition or other direct tax shall be laid. Now that means, what's the property tax? It's a direct tax. You cannot tax the people's direct stuff. You can't tax their horse, you can't tax their car, you can't tax their house, you can't tax their telephone. All this stuff is in violation of the Constitution. It's right there. The founders knew that you cannot tax people directly, or you're going to have a revolution or poverty and suffering, one of the two. And so what they put this in there for a reason. And now we have judges seizing people's houses on these idiotic tax foreclosures. It's absurd. The government has no authority to tax somebody's home, and absolutely no authority to steal somebody's home if they don't pay rent to a corrupt local government on a piece of private property. A corrupt local government claiming it's for the schools and the children, in violation in a country that was founded on a tax revolution and private property rights. Do you get that? We had people being taxed out of their private home in a country that was founded on a tax revolution and property rights, private property rights. Wow. How absurd and upside down is that? Now every one of these judges is signing off on it. So there is your violation of the oath. Then list all the things that violate it. Article 4, Article 7, Article 1, Section 9, Clause 4, list it all and submit it. Everything you have to go to court and put those judges on notice. They are criminals. And also I would recommend that people definitely hand a quo warranto, which is once again QUO-WARRANTO, and it's a document that the National Liberty Alliance has at its website, and people can print that out and hand deliver it to the judge's clerk. And you can even make a little bit of a scene and videotape the delivery. And here's the judges on notice. Here's your quo warranto. Please read this. I'd like to call back and get the judge's opinion on what he thought after he read it. And deliver that to every judge in your community. They need to have that. That's to be on notice. They have to obey their oath, or they're going to have to leave office. They can't sit up there and be criminals and steal half of people's paycheck for some idiotic, minor violation on their vehicle. And by the way, if you read the National Liberty Alliance letter to the sheriff, and it's up there on the website, nationallibertyalliance.org, and the letter to the sheriff has several cases in there. One of them, I believe it's the Thompson decision, says you don't have to have a license to drive if you're simply traveling and you're not engaged in commercial activity. Most of us aren't if you're not driving a truck. And so what do? The cops start, like they're told by the courts and the barristers and the traders, hey, go out and issue everybody tickets anyway as if they were driving a commercial vehicle. You got it set up where they're all a corporate entity now, and they're just scandal anyway. So go out and write up the tickets, and they're not going to take back because nobody wants to get arrested or shot. So just take advantage of them and rip them off. Usher them into court, point of a gun, we steal $250 out of a $500 paycheck and keep people absolutely broke. So it's a bunch of BS, and if people want to fix it, get involved as a Courtroom observer at the National Liberty Alliance, and we can network together with each other. We've had great results out in Utah. We had good results. 7 Courtroom observers showed up for Steve, and they put his case out for 6 months, which they never put it out for that long. And most of the cops that were there were very nice to him and supplied him some information that the court wasn't giving him. The judge in Maryland, in one of our cases, we sued 2 judges in a row in federal court. But when you sue a judge in federal court, as soon as the judge starts dragging you in and abusing you, you go right down to the federal courthouse to the clerk's window and say, I'd like to file a federal lawsuit. Can I have the paperwork? And they'll let you stamp the papers. Some of it you fill out. Another part of it don't fill out because it says guidelines. Don't fill it out. Only the stuff you have to fill out for the filing the lawsuit and sue the judge. And guess what? That judge has to recuse him or herself. And the next judge that comes in, open a lawsuit against them. They're in violation of their oath. Guess what? They're going to run out of judges. And they have to bring in the judge from outside, and they're usually told, hey, make this go away. So Courtroom observing works. If you put the pressure on them, you sue them, you fill them, you bring people into the court to observe them. It's about your best case, your best way to win any case in this corrupt system. And when we get the National Liberty Alliance common law grand juries back into the court, it's all over because those judges are going to start going to prison, which is where they belong.
Absolutely.
Daniel?
Yeah.
So I'm going to sign off for the night because there's a couple of people I'm helping right now. I'd like to put out one final shout if anybody's listening to this in the area of Southwest Kansas, or northern New Mexico, or southern Colorado, even Boulder, Colorado Springs. If you can get down to Salina, Kansas, Salina, Salina. It's Saline County, and what's going on there is unreal. And I don't have time to get into it, Daniel, because I want to ask your listeners if they're in that area to show up at, I believe at 2 o'clock. I'm going to get my notes out here. It's the address in Salina, Kansas, 300 West Ash, ASA. That's in Salina, and it's on, let's see, it's at, looks like right now it's at 2 o'clock and in the afternoon. And if anybody can get down there and support John Rowdy Bush is a wonderful person, a beautiful man, gentle. He's never hurt a flea on the back of a dog, and the county is abusing him. Listen to what they got, the scam they got going in Salina, Kansas, Daniel. They have something, and this is just the county lawyer, county attorney, this guy named Michael Montoya, who has an office that's decorated top to bottom in Masonic ritualistic decoration, and I'll talk about that in a minute. Comes up with this absurd idea of placing a personal property tax on everybody's stuff. Out to your house, they see you got a tractor out there, all of a sudden they come up, like throw it on your house and put a tax on it. Hey, you got to throw us a tax on that tractor. They drove by this guy's salvage yard. It's a junkyard. Get themselves auto parts and used cars. And get a car crusher out there. So the county comes out and says, you owe us a fee for having that. You owe us a tax on that car crusher. And this is with a mafia racket that they're getting away to. We're driving by people's houses and businesses and saying, oh, I'm going to tax that tractor. I'm going to tax that car crusher. I'm going to tax that front end loader. I'm going to tax that backhoe. And they're raping people in the community. And the sheriff's letting him get away with it. Sheriff Kokanowski, he's from New York, so he's well seasoned in the whole corruption thing. They brought him out hot out of New York specifically so he could run that little mafia Mason racket out in Salina, Kansas. And they're abusing this guy, John. And I really would like people to get there and observe for him. Show up with a pen and paper, take notes. That's all we ask. If you can have a camera with you, that'd be great.
What's his name?
John Rowdy Bush. R-O-U-D-Y, Rowdy Bush, USA. John Rowdy Bush. And he's appearing at 2 o'clock at the courthouse. And get this. This is so fraudulent, this whole personal property tax crap that they're laying on people like a bunch of sheriffs of Nottingham, right on Robin Hood. And they're not even doing it in a courtroom. They're doing it in the county commissioner's room at the courthouse. So it has the illusion of legality and lawfulness, and it has nothing of the sort in reality. It's a complete fraud, it's a scam, it's racket, it's a Mason mafia. And I would like to say, it's all there. And if anybody doubts it, the sheriff's deputies in uniform doing the gangland Masonic, Mason Illuminati hand sign with the fingers pointed upside down and the whole smash. I had a photo that was run on the front page of the newspaper. The guy was holding it in his hand, telling me, describing it to me. It's right here. I'm looking at the paper, the Saline County paper, and there it is. Sheriff's deputies with the satanic Mason's hand signal. Right in plain sight on a photograph that they knew was going to be run. So they're really bold out there. They think they got everybody by the you-know-whats, and it's time for people out there to join the National Liberty Alliance, get into with the common law grand jury, get yourself a constitutional sheriff, because this guy Kokanowski is obscene. He's ripping his people off. And you want to hear a really good one? They had a meeting, a town meeting with the Sheriff Kokanowski, and it was the emergency management person for the area of Kansas. Okay, they bring in all the farmers and all the your average middle American people come in thinking they're going to have a meeting about what to do with an emergency. And guess what they talked about? The sheriff and his emergency management person, I think it was a woman, got there and said, hey, y'all know it's illegal to burn lumber wood in your wood stove, right? Because it puts a fiber up in the air that causes people trouble breathing.
Wow.
Excuse? Little pieces of 2x4s, and we're not talking pressure treated. We're talking regular pieces of wood that you would use after remodeling your kitchen. You can't throw those pieces of wood in your wood stove. And because they're going to put a fiber into the air that other people are going to get lung damage from. What a crock of crap. I've never heard anything so absurd in my entire life, and everybody knows it's ridiculous. So you have the UN Agenda 21 sheriff bending over and grabbing his ankles for the globalist environmentalist scammers that are making the circuit around middle America. Little towns in middle America. So, and it's disgusting. So people in Salina, Kansas better get it together. And I hope anybody listening to my voice right now can get their rear end down. I know it's short notice, but hey, you know, freedom is not easy, especially in these days.
Hey, Eric,
Yeah.
do you happen to have the guy's information as far as contact information?
I do. Yeah, and you know, I don't think he'd mind me giving it out because, and I just was going to suggest that anybody who follows this man, be friendly and talk to help him. If you decide you're going to call him a hard time and sabotage him, you're going to have big trouble with me, and you're not going to like it. So here we go. Please call and help this man, John Rowdy Bush. I encourage you. I'm going to give the information out. He won't buy it. Everybody down there in the system knows who he is now, because I'm stirring the pot and pushing a few buttons and exposing the Masons and all the scammers down there in Salina, Kansas. Okay, so if anybody wants to call John and offer him some help, we would really appreciate it at the National Liberty Alliance Courtroom Observers Division. And John's number is 785-412-7036. That is 785-412-7036. And I thank you for letting me put that out there, Daniel. And once again, everybody, that's for friends only. Anybody who calls me gives John a hard time is going to get a subsequent hard time for me, and I will find you. So please call him only if you're willing to help. And he needs all the help in court observers he can go. They're trying to fine him thousands of dollars for having a car crusher. Oh, by the way, he hasn't had the car crusher now for 3 years. He got rid of it. And they're still coming back and telling him he's got to pay a tax on it. I mean, it's so over the top. People don't believe this is going on in your average suburban, you know, yuppieville. They have their head up you know where, and they don't believe this is that corrupt. And it's going on it's little town America, Salina, Kansas. I've been through it before. It's beautiful little place out middle America. People are friendly, wonderful. Nobody out there hurts anybody, and they're getting absolutely raped by this Mason sheriff, Glenn Kokanowski, Mason County Attorney, Michael the Mason Montoya, and gosh, who was the other big offender? This Judge Paul Hickman, who seems to be perfectly happy to get up there, violate 11 different articles of the Constitution, one of them including an oath that he took on the Holy Bible. How's that for a scumbag? So he didn't get down there, put the system on notice that it's being watched by the people. We have nothing to fear from them. When you walk in that court, you own that court. That's not you don't work for them, they work for us. And so we need help. If we stand together, we can beat the system. There's safety in numbers, and that's why courtroom observers is so important. Once again, I'll make the case. You can have a really good case and lose if you don't have any observers there. And you can have a really crappy case and win if you do have observers, because the bottom line is public pressure. Public pressure. The eye of the camera, the eye of the people. Bring your cameras in. Film in the lobby. Film the bailiffs. Film out in the parking lot. Hand out, here's a really good one. If your listeners want to do something activist, they can't make it to help John, if they want to do something else. First of all, get involved with the National Liberty Alliance.org, Courtroom Observers Group. Print out, if you go to the Courtroom Observers Bulletin Board, you will see a document labeled Info Flyer for distribution at Town and County Courthouse. And that document, that info flyer, is a real button pusher. It's an excellent document. It's just a one-page point brief document. And hey, I'll read it to you since we got a minute, Daniel. We're still continuing the broadcast.
Yeah, absolutely.
Here we go. I'll read it to people and they can idea what it should be. Here we go. Number one. So you're going to hand this out to people when you go to court or anywhere else, but mainly if you want to do something activist, go down to the court parking lot or the lobby right before people go into security, or even that. Don't do it in the courtroom in front of the judge, because that's going to stir up the proceedings. They're going to want you to leave and all that. So try to do it out in the lobby of the court, right outside the court. Judges courtroom, and then out in the parking lot out front. And the flyer says this: number one, this court is now a private corporation, posing as a town or county court. This is fraud. Number two, the judges and other lawyers who will steal your money are the shareholders. This is racketeering. Three, the district attorney will commit a felony by asking you to plead guilty to a crime you never did. This is perjury. Number four, the district attorney is not the people. He or she is the state. You are the people. Number five, the town, county, or state cannot be a victim. Ask for a document from the victim of your offense. Usually there is none. No victim, no crime. That's common law. Number six, as a private corporation, this court has no true jurisdiction over you. Under common law, you are over the court. Seven, a judge enjoys being reminded of his or her oath under Article 6, Clause 3. Quote, judicial officers shall be bound by oath or affirmation to support this Constitution. 8, he has the right to a jury trial, not a bench trial. The Bill of Rights, Article 6 says the accused shall enjoy a speedy and public trial by an impartial jury. Article 7 says the right of trial by jury shall be preserved. Number 9, feel free to exercise your right to video all proceedings. Decisions by the 9th Circuit Court in Fordyce versus the City of Seattle and the 11th Circuit Court in Smith versus the City of Cumming both affirm your First Amendment right to film public proceedings on public property. And this is not legal advice. This is information to help you realize and exercise your rights as a free individual. To learn more and help turn the courts back into centers of mediation instead of pipelines of incarceration, check out the nationallibertyalliance.org. So there it is, and that's just one of the things you can find up there. That's a practical document. That's a solution that tells people what their rights are, how they can fight this, who they are, what law they're really under, which is the common law. The court is out of its constitutional common law jurisdiction because common law and the Constitution are pretty much one and the same. The Constitution was based on common law, based on the Magna Carta out of England, and so all those original charters of civil liberties that came in the early days. 1215 was when the Magna Carta was signed. It's 2015 now, if I'm not mistaken. That's 800 years to the day on June 15th. So that'll be a big day, and we ought to reflect on that day for our fundamental liberties to be restored. And all these scammers out like in Saline, Kansas, and it's not unique. I mean, it's going on everywhere. I just wanted to highlight that because that's going on right now. I'm witnessing it live time. My friend John there has an appointment in court tomorrow. I'd like to see some observers get there and let the system know that it's being watched.
That's tomorrow, Eric?
That is tomorrow, Daniel, and I apologize for the short notice, but he has another appearance coming up, I think, in March. So when we do another show, maybe next weekend, I'll give you another update on his case. But it's an important one because this is a really nice guy, and he has not committed any crimes. They're just coming down the road and say, "Oh, yay, John Riley Bush had the car crusher. You were worth $500." I mean, that's absurd. You know, there's no reason for that. It's just a mafia racket that's coming out of left field, levying unlawful taxes on people's private property, and it's absurd. And so they're doing it on everything, and the cops are harassing him, you know, because they know he's with the National Liberty Alliance, and you know they're trying to push. Now that doesn't happen in most jurisdictions because the National Liberty Alliance, now that we have court observers, is going to bring people into court and make it really uncomfortable on the corrupt system if they start screwing around with them too much. So they usually want to stay away from NLA members, except at this place in Salina, Kansas, because I think they're figuring that they're so remote, they're so far out there. People are on the East Coast. What do they care about Salina, Kansas? What do you care out in Los Angeles about Salina, Kansas? What do you care out in Seattle what goes on in Salina, Kansas? Well, you ought to, because people are there getting abused. And it's going to happen, and it is happening in your community as well. probably way worse than LA and Seattle. But for it to happen in these small communities so blatantly, I mean, even in New York here, the sheriff and the county riding around saying, "Oh, you got a new piece of equipment up there on your piece of land there, Eric. You owe me some money on that." You know, everybody thinks no better than to try that here.
Right.
So, but out in Kansas, the people are so nice and so gentle and so soft-spoken, and you know, and these are just good people, real people. And these are those people you want to have as your neighbors because they're not going to hurt you, they're not going to steal from you, they're not going to rape your kid, or you know, come on. I mean, these are good people.
Right.
And the government is abusing them. It's disgusting. So, I mean, it's one of the worst cases I've ever seen. And the county attorney, Michael Montoya, has got the black and white check the floor, which is amazing.
Eric.
Yes, Daniel.
Our guest here, Fred, wants to say something.
Hey, Mr. Eric. Man, I'm really enjoying what you're saying, and it's awesome to hear this information. But it's like the people of America has fell asleep, man. It's like we're in a stupor, and even the information you're telling, it's like, okay, when you got a hamburger and a Super Bowl and a big old pop, it's like, who cares? So I'm just saying, what happened to us where we don't have the good fight? It's like our will, they're taking all the fight out of us. And it's like, I can hear you saying that, and I hear other people saying that, but they don't get it and they don't want to fight. You know, do we actually have to pay federal taxes? I mean, I heard that we don't even have to pay taxes. I mean, so just elaborate and explain. I really enjoy what you're saying. It's just that when I talk to people about these things, it's like everybody's asleep. They don't want to hear it.
Well, the fluoride is doing its job really well. If you look into the historic use of fluoride in the water, which is that material that they put in that they claim is good for your teeth, and it's total crap that has nothing to do with your teeth. It's because they don't even use fluoride, the mineral. They use fluorosilactic acid, which is a highly toxic compound to your liver and kidney. So, and if you look into it, and it came out in the Nuremberg trials, the Nazis and the Soviets did it as well in the gulags, but the Nazis in their concentration camps jacked the water supply with obscene amounts, tons of fluoride, because they found out it's a neurotoxin. It's a neurosedative. It puts people in a little bit of a daze, a little bit of a glaze, a little bit of a stupor. They care more about, you know, and if you can get them in front of that TV boy, you're done. They watch that football game, they drink that beer. They don't give a crap. You know, don't let anything happen. And this is how the Germans got away with what they did. If anybody ever tells you, God, how did the Germans get away with doing what they did to the Jews and everybody else, and the gypsies and in the concentration camps? And you know, and guess what? They knew what was going on, but they tuned it out. And it's exactly what's called willful blindness. See no evil, hear no evil, speak no evil. And what happened in Germany is exactly what's happening here in this country today. And every single person that stupor that you just described, that sleep state, they don't care. They're just kind of one day to the next, football and beer. And I know a lot of people like that. They are exactly a duplicate, carbon copy, the clones of the Germans that allowed the Holocaust to occur in World War II. Because Auschwitz, Dachau, and Buchenwald, those were camps, those were towns. Where it happened to be different camps, concentration camps set up. Those were towns, though. And those concentration camp guards went into town at night to get some TNA and have a beer and a bratwurst. Those people in those towns knew what was going on, just like they know what's going on in Salina, Kansas, and Rochester, New York, and every other community in the nation. So it's bad. And this is everybody ever says, how did that happen in Germany? Say, just look around here. Look at your neighbors, look at yourself. You're just like it. We're letting atrocities being committed all over the place. We're watching, hey, you want a good one? Or not a good one, a really bad one? Watch the movie Kids for Cash. And look at Lackawanna, Luzerne, Pennsylvania, where the son of the Pennsylvania Supreme Court Chief Judge, his kid, his late 20s, early 30s, I guess, comes into town, builds a 1,350-bed detention facility, prison for kids. And needs to pay two judges, Marshall Civarella and Michael Conahan, $2.8 million to incarcerate as many kids in the prison as they could because they get money from the state for every prisoner.
Right.
Those are children. Okay.
I served it.
One girl got in a fight on Facebook, and she was in for 5.5 years. Another girl hit a girl in the head with a volleyball, and she was in for 3 or 4 years. A kid had first offense, one fight in the classroom, 6 years in the child penitentiary. And they got caught. They're in prison. 2 judges are in prison now. I think one of them I think they're in prison for 30 years each. And the movie on YouTube, if people want to watch it, is called Kids for Cash. And the reporter that reported on all this is named Lou Jasikoff, Jasikoff, and he's at the, Lou, where are you here? The Wilkes-Barre Independent is that night. And he is working on the story, and everybody in the entire county government in that area knew what was going on and is liable for life in prison for incarcerating these kids. And every single one of them is claiming ignorance, and all the judges are trying to cover for each other right now. 2 of them already dropped and went down. They're in prison, 2 judges. And now we need to get the rest of the judges in prison because I got news for you folks. This is going on in every single community in the nation. It makes it really disgusting. And we're trolling the CPS, the Child Protective Services, police. We're trolling the food assistance program in the cafeteria at the school and keying in on it, picking out which kids were poor and disadvantaged and didn't have the money to eat, so they were on the lunch assistance food program, at the school. And they were keying in on those kids because they knew the family wouldn't have any money to fight back and hire a lawyer. And those are the kids they were grabbing and seizing. It was disgusting. And apparently, a whistleblower is telling me they're trolling DSS, Section 8 housing, medical assistance records. Anywhere they can see that somebody is on government assistance, that's where CPS is going, and these judges and courts are building their cases to steal children. And if it's blonde hair, blue eyes, the court gets $8,000. And if it's brown hair, brown eyes, $4,000. And so that's how they're making their money. And then getting kickback from the prisons to incarcerate. And of course, bonding every case and taking interest on the bond. Every single case that comes through a court is bonded. So they can drag it out for years and years and years to make millions on the interest on that bond. They don't want any cases to get to go away or be done. They want to drag it out and you come into that court as many times as possible. With the final stop being one of their prisons built by one of their buddy's kid, which is exactly what happened. Kids for Cash is the name of the movie. Everybody needs to go watch that movie and realize what the level of evil that's going on in this nation right now.
Yeah, I watched it before. I saw it.
Wow.
It's called Fascism, Corporate America and the Government.
Yeah.
They combine their powers. That's what Hitler did,
Yep.
And with the Germans, how you deceive the Germans, not only the Jews and the other people that he destroyed and killed, but just to the propaganda that he put out with the German people, to have these people, immaculated like that, and that's what America's doing now. Look at corporate, the media is just really ridiculous. It's like you can't fight back. So that's why we need people like you and Daniel to keep up the good work. Really appreciate you guys.
Yeah, thank you. We can fight back, and we are fighting back, and we're well on our way. We've had some major successes with the Court of Observers and the Judicial. You got cameras back in the court in New York. They used to steal your camera at the front gate and put it in the safe. Now they at least let you bring it in, still in the lobby, and with the brief one-page, one-sentence letter to the judge. Your cameras are in the court, and there's no way they can keep it out because the Ninth Circuit and the 11th Federal Court have already ruled that the public has every right to video public proceedings on public property, and specifically, and this is right out of one of the cases, and specifically a right to record what public officials do on public property. That's in the Smith versus the City of Cumming 11th Circuit Court, year 2000. And all this information is up on my bulletin board at the nationallibertyalliance.org. Your cursor on groups, go to the Courtroom Observers group. Get involved there and look at the documents that I have posted up there. Some good information on how to get the cameras into the courtroom. Some information, and I'll give some people, if they want to get a hold of me, I'll tell them what I do when I, have to go to court, and they can do what they want. It's not legal advice, but I do give information on your rights, and I'll be happy to share information on your rights with everybody who wants to exercise those rights in the courts. But I do encourage people, if they want to enjoy all the benefits of the court observers, like the request form that you can fill out if you got to go to court, and then I will make a posting nationwide for observers to appeal for observers for your case. You do need to join the National Liberty Alliance, and because this is a service of the NLA, and then of course become a court observer. It's real simple, just sign up. Doesn't cost anything, and then you're a member of the Court of Observers. You're a member of the National Liberty Alliance. You've got a huge organization that'll back you up. And just look into it, see if you like what we're all about, and become active and get involved with us. The National Liberty Alliance is really good. There's no downside. We're not a money-making organization, although we do need funding to keep going, to keep our bandwidth going. And our Monday night conference call, which people can call in. Go to the website, nationallibertyalliance.org. Look at our Monday night conference call. Call in, join us. You can be on mute. You don't have to say anything. You can just listen like a radio program. And so people can look into that, and then if they want to get on the queue, they can get involved and ask questions and see how they can get involved. But it's pretty self-explanatory if you go to the website on different things you can do to become a part of the National Liberty Alliance Common Law Grand Jury Movement and the Courtroom Observers Division, where you'll find my contact information as well. And with that, Daniel, I'm going to turn it over to you and sign off for the night because I have to check up on my friend in Kansas, and anybody out there can get to Salina, Kansas, 2 o'clock tomorrow, 300 West Ash. That's 300 West Ash in Salina, Kansas, to support John Rowdy Bush, who's trying to resist the personal property tax that the county of Saline County is driving around and laying on everybody's stuff, from tractors to car crushers, tobaccos, to you name it. It's a real mafia out there. We need people to back up my friend John and stand with him because he's a good NLA member who's done a lot for the organization. And some of these people in Kansas are some of our best members. Our man Johnny B. The letter to the sheriff, to every sheriff in Kansas, in every county, and that's a nice undertaking. And our letter to the sheriff is also posted on the website. People can read that. It's a very interesting letter that we're sending out to all sheriffs, so I would encourage people maybe print that out and deliver a copy to your county sheriff. Drop it off at his office, ask if you can have a meeting with the sheriff. They usually meet you somewhere, or find out where he's going to be campaigning on the political stuff and run into him somewhere. Oh, sheriff, I just want you to have this, or hey, did you read that letter I dropped off? So we're getting that letter to every sheriff in the nation. It's called the Letters to the Sheriff, and it's right up there on the nationallibertyalliance.org website. So people can print that out. They can hand it to their sheriff. They can print out the info flyer for distribution at the courthouse from the Court Observers Bulletin Board. I recommend, if you want to do something, if you really want to do something that's going to push some buttons, go down to your town courthouse on First Appearance Night for traffic court. There'll be a bunch of people there, and stand out in the parking lot or in the lobby, hand out those info flyers, and give them to everybody, because everybody there is being oppressed, and everybody there is seeking liberty. And so it's fertile ground to go to the courthouse on just traffic court night and pass out that info flyer that I have posted on the Court Observers Bulletin Board. So feel free to reorganize it as more of a professional looking flyer. I didn't put it in a PDF file, just made it run together like a letter. You'll see what I mean. If you want to stack it 1, 2, 3 right on top of each other like a real flyer, feel free to reformat the letter, but don't change the wording, because I made it very specific for a very specific reason. So, but people can play around with it, make it look better, and then print out a whole bunch of copies and pass them out everywhere around the courthouse, both town and county courthouses, because you'll see hundreds of people a week going through those who haven't hurt anybody, victimless crimes now. People just being run through on little minor idiotic code offenses, and we have to put this to an end and give people well, I hate to use the word give people their freedom back, because we never lose our freedom. Our freedoms are only violated. They're never taken. They're never gone. You always have them. The system can only violate your freedom. So always remember, folks, your freedoms are never gone. You're not losing them. They're being violated more and more every day. And that keeps things in perspective, and it also keeps the system on notice. Well, they're the violator. They have no right or authority to take away any of our rights, and they're not going to. We still have them. It's now come down to, what do we want to fight for our rights? And I suggest we do it non-violently with court of observers and common law grand jurists, and with a common law sheriff or a constitutional sheriff, if you'd rather call it that. We can have the enforcement mechanism to, put some of these judges in prison for what they're doing. And they really do need to go there, because I've seen them destroying people's lives with absolutely no conscience whatsoever.
Yeah, absolutely, Eric.
Daniel, I'm going to sign off for the night. And my friend, what was your name? Daniel's assistant?
Oh, his name is Fred Davis. He just stepped out for a moment, but
Fred, it was nice talking with you. Stay involved, and please, everybody, spread the word about the National Liberty Alliance.org. Become a member and become a courtroom observer, and we'll all help each other out and get through this battle to restore the republic. Take care, Daniel. Take care, Fred.
You too.
Bye,
You too,
everybody.
bro.
All right.
Take care.
God bless, man. That's the end of the show, guys. Thank you for joining us, and just had a little fun there at the end. But until next week, hopefully we get a chance to broadcast.
That was awesome.
God bless. Take care. Bye.
Amen.